Introduce our speaker. At this point, Mr. Adrian Whitcomb. He is a native of Newport News. He has seen the upper portion of the city transformed from a semi-rural area with farms and forested tracts of land to congested suburbia. I think I've called it nondescript suburbia at some point, right? He is concerned that the pursuit of more and more development has made our area less livable. Having been part of the Citizens for Fort Monroe National Park for the past decade and its Vice President of Communications since 2013, Adrian knows firsthand that a citizens group can make a positive difference in conserving important natural and historic areas. As President of Citizens for Riverview Farm Park, Adrian is working with other citizens to build a broad base of public support to see that Riverview Farm Park becomes the park that it was designed to be 25 years ago, a park that includes all of the Newport News City Farm and the city-owned portion of the Deep Creek Marina. And with that, I'm going to let Adrian take it over. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you for the meal. I've been part of this community all my life. And as you know, the river has been part of all of our lives. But over the years, our access to the river actually has decreased. And I can't go into the extent, but I live down near the shipyard. And the shipyard has eaten up a lot of the public space that was there when I was first lived there in the 60s. But thinking about Riverview, what we are trying to do, what our organization is trying to do is complete a process that was begun decades ago. And actually, a plan that was adopted 25 years ago by the City Council. The city has owned this land since 1918. 1918, so it's almost 100 years. And most of that time, of course, it's been used as a prison farm. As you can see, there's a lot of activity in addition to, well, you can see the sign, but hopefully most of you are familiar with what's open to the public now at Riverview. There's also a section there on the river, 58 acres. This is one photo I did not take. Almost everything else in this is photos I've taken. So I've been on both sides of the camera, usually behind it, taking photos, and it's just a habit. Riverview is located in the area of Newport News that some call the Gold Coast. Unless you're fortunate to live right on the water, you could live in a nice house a block away or several blocks away, and you'd have to drive to the other end of the city to actually walk on the beach at Sunset Park. And that's a shame that in a city that has so much waterfront, in particular along the James River, and between industry and the military and private residences, most of this is eaten up, and we are not allowed to enjoy it. This area was designated, this area we know as Boardtown, it was designated by Preservation Virginia as one of the 10 most endangered areas in the state. And this was back in 2010, and I think it's even more endangered today. I'm sure you already know a lot about Boardtown, but of course that's the park.
You know?
Yeah. Keep going. We'll talk a little more about the history later on in the question and answer period for ones who have questions here. What I would like to emphasize, first of all, is the master plan, and then what's being done more recently. There was a task force that back in the late 80s, early 90s that came up with a plan for Riverview Park that would include all of the city farm the former landfill of Menchville, and also the portion of the marina that is owned by the city. This was adopted in 1991, that's 25 years now. Now, this is the cover, of course, of the plan, but under the plan, all of this was rezoned as park in anticipation of one day it all being a park. Now, 58 acres were held back because that's where the prisoners still were, and up until last year, they were there occupying that land. But the city came up with the idea that it wasn't up to standards, so they had to move the prisoners out. And since then, there's been all kinds of rumors going around about what's going on. And you ask the city official, is there a plan? Oh, there's no plan, but we know there's people behind the scenes talking about it because we've heard. We have some people inside that told us that.
What a high five is going on.
Okay. And this is the Menchville plan. This is the upper portion. You can recognize the park, recreation area across from the high school. Now, the next one. This is the part that shows the Riverview Park. Now, this was actually adopted in 1990 as part of the Deep Creek Menchville plan, and then the following year, the specific plan for the park was adopted. And as you can see, the area around there were particular zonings required to keep it as mostly a low-density, semi-rural area. Now, we know the city has plans to make it more of an, let's say, an urban area. Yeah, they have those ideas they aren't telling us about.
Can you tell us where the beach is? You have beautiful photos of the beach on that map.
Okay, I wish I had pointed, but that was a long one. By the beach. Very good. All right, follow the shadows there. And I like to guess pretty much this is a natural area. Okay, yeah, generally along here, in this area, I would say. Okay. That's not the side, but it's, at present, there's one trail you can follow. Beyond that trail, if you get off of it, you can follow to the waterfront and go out on the pier, a small pier, and look at the beach that you can't walk on, and in the city, if certain people in the city get their way, you may not even be able to see it someday. Unless you can buy a house out there. Let's go on to the next. All right. Keep going. And this map shows ABCD. Now, D is the HRSD facility. Okay. A, the current Riverview Farm Park. B is the remaining city farm, and then C, the green. Keep going. Is there a shortage of waterfront parks in Newport News? Well, to test that premise, the three things I looked at the framework for the future, 2030. The Trust of Public Land Study in 2008, and the third one was a comparison to other metropolitan areas. Okay. This is the map that came with the framework for the future.
Green representing parks?
Yes, the green represents parks and city parks. And this is other color. As you can see, there's a big green area to the north end. That's nice. But what the city really needs, in addition to all these other places, is more land on the James River. The James River is the river that really made Newport News. Without the James River, there would be no shipyard, no port facility.
Well, what about the Warwick River?
Okay, the Warwick River, there's a small section of the Warwick River that's pretty nice too, of course. And all that, you can see, is covered by, is residential areas or the military. So, but like I say, the James River, the fact, the kind of river it is, it just was a perfect place for the shipyard to be and for this town to grow, for this city to grow up. But what we should not do is cover every last acre along the river with development. Okay, keep going. Just an enlargement here. There's one public beach. Now, I'm not really thinking, some people say Hilton's a public beach. If you go there when the tide is high, you have trouble finding any sand as the water comes up to the seawall. It's really, even when the tide is low, there's not that much. So it's not much of a public beach. Of course, it's, when the school is in session, it's off limits. And you can see the green part up there for Riverview, how it's located. There's so much development around it. I mean, it's really, it would really serve a lot of people, plus it would relieve a lot of the congestion at Huntington Park and so on. Okay. And just walk closer up. Okay. Framework for the future. And they count 49 miles of shoreline on James River. I haven't measured that, so I don't know. But that city, this comes from the city. 2.6% is public of that. And that would include places, I suppose, like Chesapeake Avenue, where you can drive along the Hampton Roads, you know, places like that where you can drive near the river, you can look, but there's not really a park area.
No.
Yeah.
Can't even stop.
Okay, these are the four areas, four beaches, and as you can see, Anderson Park and King Lincoln Park, those are both at the extreme south end and east end of the city. And look at the numbers. How many visitors? 950,000 visitors estimated in 2003. That's how popular Huntington Park is. It's so crowded, it's a shame. You know, people have to drive a long way, but they will just to get to a beach. All right, next. Population growth by 2030, some people say it'll be maybe 215,000 in Newport News, maybe even more, 225 is another estimate I saw. The Trust for Public Land was a study actually sponsored by the citizens for Fort Monroe National Park in 2008 to look at Hampton Roads and see just how necessary it was to preserve waterfront land for parks, and how this area comes up short compared to other areas. What do we lose when we don't have parks on the water, when we don't have enough parks? Well, parks give us benefits. People say, well, develop it and we'll get more tax revenue. But they're denying the fact that if you have a nice park there, it will increase the value of the land around it, of the houses that are already in the neighborhoods around it. It will encourage more people to come to the area, to stay in the area. It will encourage businesses to come. If you have a nice park system and as long, you know, as well as schools and so forth, other things in this city, if you have such things, people would be more likely to want to stay here and to come here in the first place, and that goes for businesses too. Okay? Comparisons to other areas: New York City, San Francisco Bay, cities, and Boston. New York is double the percentage of parkland along its shoreline, even though Hampton Roads is twice the shoreline. New York City is double. San Francisco Bay, Hampton Roads, again, we were headed as far as 9 times as much shoreline as San Francisco Bay cities, but again, they have twice as much parkland. And last, Boston, 9 times as much waterfront. Boston is 3.5 times as much public park land on the water. So you can see some of these cities, Boston and New York, are quite old cities, and yet they have managed to preserve land on the water. And you can see places like this attract not only businesses and people to live there, but they attract tourists to come. And especially if you have an area that's historic as well as scenic. And that's true of what we have here at Riverview Park and at what is now the City Farm. Now, next one. Oh, I'm just quickly going through. What is the value of parkland? Just go on. We can answer this later if you like. We'll make the City Farm Park, the Riverview Park, make Newport News a more attractive place to live or to visit. Right? And another thing, if you have more access to the water, will it provide opportunities to educate our children, grandchildren about the water, about taking care of this area? If you isolate them from the water, if they don't get there very often, they may not care at all about it. And we have a river of heritage. Some people live in areas of the city that seldom go down to the river. I live near the shipyard, so I drive close to the river every day. But up here in Denby and around Minchville area, there's probably people, and especially children, that don't get to the river very often. Don't even see it. And for the Riverview Park, all of this land needs to be not divided up, say we'll give a few acres here and then we'll develop the rest. So that's not a good deal. It's a relatively small amount of land as far as park is concerned, but it can make a big difference for the city. So the choice basically is, are we going to preserve this as a park for everybody to enjoy, or are we going to allow the city and developers to develop it and only a few people to enjoy it? Is Newport News trying to do something? Well, look at this. Next, April 8, 2008, this is dated. An architectural firm from Virginia Beach drew up these plans. I don't know who authorized it, but they went into some detail to do this. So they must have thought they had a chance to do it.
I went to a meeting about it back in 2008. I was part of the task force thing.
Yeah.
Went out there and listened to what they had to say about it.
Yeah. I'll talk to you later about that.
Where's the
Okay.
beach?
You can see the city seal is actually on here.
Yeah.
So it looks like it has some authority. This is the bar right here. This is the beach area that we know about right here. The marina is up there, in the Michigan Road. This is the gymnastics center. They call it gym. What I'm thinking, and I don't know everything's going on, but it looks like this would make an ideal gated community. That gymnastics center would be a private gym. I mean, that seems like the way they're headed.
Adrian, where's the barn? Right in there. We know they're gonna tear it down.
Well, if you read the paper last week, I went to that meeting, and what came out of that meeting was it was not being taken care of, basically. Somebody actually went in and removed some support, part of the support system, and I'll have some photos later on in this about that. But it looks like somebody either planned to destroy the barn, or somebody just carelessly, let somebody come in and take some of the wood that was valuable or something like that. But it's a crime that should be investigated either way. What would be lost? First of all, if that plan that I just showed you goes into effect, the sledding hill would be gone because it would be right there next to those houses. Next, gymnastic center, that very likely would be a private gym. Next, the overlook, well, that might be lost. Certainly, there wouldn't be any more overlooks, and there wouldn't be trails along the waterfront or access to the beach in that area.
They have that now, and you cannot go out and walk on that sand.
No.
Okay.
And very cool. This was taken last year before anything was started on it. I have some more recent later. Okay.
That was Yoder, right? Originally a Yoder. Mennonite farm.
No.
City farm built in 1935.
Yeah, after the city owned the land it was built, so it's not Mennonite. All right, next.
Of him, that thing in the background.
Now,
See from your angle.
look at this scene. This is looking up from near the gate of the city farm, back up toward Mitchell Road. And as you can see, you feel like you're in the country when you visit that area. And if they get their way, if people want to develop, that'll be a four-lane road from Dallas way all the way
First
down
two
to the
photos,
west.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And we need, this is about the last of any kind of rural connection in Newport News. Everything else has been developed. The only other barn around I know of is the Yoder, which is, of course, right next to the shopping centers.
The pool on Eastwood Drive still has the.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Colony pool.
Adrian, do we know the actual perimeter of the 1684 town? Has there been an archaeological dig to any extent?
Yeah, I have a map later on that will show you about that. Okay. Here are some things you can do. This is also on the back of these. If you haven't got one, please get one from the table up here. You can take some extras to pass out to other people. But it's actually it's on the inside on this one. But there's things that you can do. If you go to our Facebook page, there's more detail there on what you can do. So this tells you how to get to Facebook. Okay. Well, how did we get started with our citizens group? Well, about a year ago, it was actually last October at the Sierra Club over in Sandy Bottom Park in Hampton. They were talking about various subjects, and John Dawson, that's the Dr. Dawson, that is with a D. He was sitting over next to me, and I told him what I was interested in the city farm and what would happen there, and he suggested that we get some people together and talk about it. So he got some people that he knew, and later on I located some other people that joined our group, and this is the first time we met at the Unitarian Church, which is where we usually meet now, down in Warren. And first we had to decide what kind of organization we would be, and we are a non-profit organization now. And there's some of our members, a couple of them are here today. Okay. Now, in addition to meeting ourselves and discussing the subject, the matter, we need to get out and in the community and also to go to other meetings and voice our concerns. So one of the first places we went was the North District, and this was town meeting. This was actually back in the fall of last year before we really had an organization. And as you can see, two council people from the North District talked to both of them, and after that meeting, we were kind of concerned because neither one was ready to tell us this should be a park. They were kind of thinking maybe it should be rethought and some kind of mixed-use development or something else should be there. So the next thing, the city council election came up. A very convenient time because it gives you an opportunity to ask questions. Unfortunately, when you go to council meetings downtown, they'll let you speak for 3 minutes, but they generally don't answer your questions. But it's good to go there anyway, because not only to inform people that are there, but they don't televise it, so it gets the word out. So we will be doing that more. But what we had, since the Sierra Club was first, and had friends in the Sierra Club, they asked me to submit a question for their questionnaire, and of course it was about what would be done with the city farm. So each candidate had to answer that, and there was enough of a division there in that first forum that the daily press picked it up, and so it became a topic in further debates too. And I was always ready to submit a question whenever I could. This one, the two candidates that were running in the North District, one of them favored development. The other one favored the park. Fortunately, the park won. We had a lot of elections this year. In June, there was a special election, close to Shelley. Remember that? But I had this idea at the last minute, it's hard to get people to go out and man every precinct. But I said, well, I'll make up some signs and go to these precincts in that area and advertise a forum that is coming up in just a couple of weeks. And some of the people actually came to the forum and told us that that's how we found out about it. So this is what I did at some of the precincts with a sign there. And next. And this is about the forum. Public forum in say Riverview Park, and believe me or not, they're not only, some of these people who develop the plans not only want the city farm and the marina, they want to go up farther into what is now Riverview Park and take some of that. And this is a panel. I did a brief PowerPoint to start out, and then we had a panel discussion, and each of the panel members took a particular topic and discussed it. And by the way, the 4 members here, I took a video of each one, and it's online. If you go to our Facebook page first, you can find the links to those videos. This is the new city council. So this is where we have to put a lot of our focus now. We have to emphasize to each of these members, and I think there's at least 3 that will favor the park today, so we need at least 1 more. And we also need to have citizens like you, like all of us, to go downtown when there are meetings and to stand up and speak whenever we can and tell them that we need to keep that park there and to keep the city farm and the marina as part of the park. It's up to us. We are the government if we will only be it. If we allow a handful of people to sit up there and hand out favors to people that support them, then we get what we deserve. But that doesn't have to happen. Things that happened before, if you remember, what happened to the Enview Mall? You remember that a few years ago? People didn't want that. And more recently, about that supermarket grocery store over by Patrick Greenfield, by the airport. If enough people get together and go down there, and I tell you this, elections come pretty quick. In less than 2 years, there'll be 4 council people running, and if they see a big demand to keep something like as a park, they may even change their position. Okay. the city manager, the guy with sunglasses. And this was actually, some of you are not too happy about him. If you want to know more, you can talk to one of us afterwards, but we don't want to make this public. But, he's not the most agreeable as far as park. I don't know why they brought him in considering this background, but we're afraid that we'll find out soon. The Comprehensive Plan Citizen Advisory Committee. Say all that in one breath, good. These are some of the members of the committee. We had 3 people on this committee, and by the way, I did go to a meeting recently, and fortunately we are well represented, but they are willing to voice the concern about the park, about that land, and to take to task these people that seem to ignore what's been decided in the past and try to sneak through something different. Okay. There was an international soccer festival and community fair at Riverview Park recently, and well, that was August 20th, and we had people representing us. What they did is set up a table and had things to hand out to people, and I have some of those things up here. This is a survey. What we would like you to do before you leave is fill up all this in, your contact information. But there's basically 3 choices here. And 2 you've already seen. One with the park. One with development, okay. This is something else that somehow they try to sneak by us. I went to the HRT meeting this was back in May, so it's 17 months now. And they had this map, and on this they pointed out in yellow what they called potential, the strategic opportunity areas, or areas identified by the city with the potential for new growth and development. Riverview Park, the whole thing was in yellow. So you can see, along with, let's see, Hilton area where they're going to do some development, there's some around Patrick Henry and various other places, but they consider Riverview as development project.
Adrian, do you know what developers, do we know as a city what developers give to the respective political campaigns?
You can find out things about donations. And, online. There are places online where you can find that out. So, you can check it out.
What meeting was that again, where
Oh.
they had marked it as a strategic opportunity area?
Okay, let me see. It was the Hampton Roads Transit Peninsula Corridor Study Public Workshop on May 19th, 2016. And like I said, they had this map, and I put in these blocks here with the information, but yellow, that's their doing. And they said they got this information from the cities. It wasn't HRT that invented this. They got the information from the individual cities. So that's the third option. So the option is all of this at the park, all the city farm and marina area to be developed, and even part of what's Riverview now would be the second one, and the third one would be kind of open-ended. No telling what that would be if it's all opportunity area. So of course we prefer one, but read this, look at the illustrations, and please give us your information, because it counts when you have people supporting it. When you have names of people that are actually supporting the park.
Adrian, are you able to tell us which city council people that you think are in favor of saving it?
Okay, yes, I think they wouldn't mind in favor. I was saying, You can do the subtraction. Okay, Woodbury
I know Woodbury.
very much is supporting the park. She made an initiative in that. That was it, okay. Marcellus Harris, the new
Yeah.
councilman, yes, he supported it. And he supported it even before any of us went up to him to try to convince him. He did it on his own, so I believe you'll keep that there. And the other one is Sandra Cherry.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah, so those three. So, and
You need
of course,
one
there's
more.
the opportunity to maybe turn around one of these other members too. Okay, and there's some more people that were at the park. And by the way, we would encourage any of you that want to help us, please contact us. There's contact information, the email goes to me there, and I'll be glad to have any of you to join in and help us. And it depends, whatever degree you can help. You can come to meetings, or if you can't do a lot of that, you can still help pass out brochures, and especially when we need a large group to go down to the city council. We need a lot of people to do that. Yes.
The survey that you have up there that you want us to fill out, is that in addition to the
Yes.
petition?
There's also an online petition, but the online petition is different in that we don't gather any information by contact. We really would like to have, if you have email, to have your email, and otherwise, any other way we can contact you to let you know what's going on. Because that's the only way we're going to be able to get a lot of people to go down to the city council together is by being able to notify you, because you usually don't know what's going to happen in the agenda until the last minute.
But the online petition is really important to sign too, because we want to have a lot of numbers.
Yes.
To be able to say that, several thousand people are
Right.
that sign that petition. So we can present that to the city council.
Yeah, both are important, so please, you can do both. You don't have to just choose between one or the other, do both. Yes.
If you are, going to write to city council, make sure they get it, because everything is going through the city manager now. And I can contest to that, because my husband just wrote a transportation letter that never got to Mayor Washington to give to the people.
Okay. I have a suggestion. Instead of sending it to the email that goes to one address for everybody, we have the email for each individual council person. So check our Facebook page. I think all of it is on Facebook now, but if you can't, if it's not working for you, contact us and we'll see.
I would like to put in one good word for Rob Coleman. Maybe now that he's not on the council, he can come over to our side. We got him on the side of the city and voted for accepting the Harwood House.
Oh.
He had been against it. We got him on our side by giving him a tour. And so maybe now that he's not on there, it might be a good time to talk to him again, because he's done a wonderful job for the city.
Okay.
He's a good vice mayor.
I have no objection to
Yeah,
that.
so I just was gonna say, he's a really good guy, he listens to people, so I think that could have been a whole lot of, there's always a lot of horse trading going on, and I don't know that he wasn't as involved as some other city council members were,
Right.
but when I had talked to him about it, it seemed to be thinking that possibly some part of it could still be residential, but the waterfront area would definitely be preserved.
Well,
So, I don't know. Everybody takes his life.
yeah, I still think
Right.
the idea of any residential, because,
Right.
because first of all, 58 acres is not as much as you think.
Right.
And also, once you put housing there, those people that live there will have, think that it's their park. If people pay a big price for a house, they don't want to park right next to them, that's an active park.
Just like First Street and Buck Road.
Yeah.
They
See those-
don't let you park down
Yeah.
where they have the public beach.
Yeah, I think that maybe now that he's out of office, maybe that kind of thing he could do.
Yeah. Okay, let's go. The barn roof repair. Okay, next. All right. They started to repair it and they spent over $56,000. number. I was at the meeting last week. They found termite destructive damage there. They found that some of the support systems had been removed, and therefore, they said the walls of the second floor are bowed out on both sides. And now there's a question, why were those supports removed, and who removed them? It could be somebody thought there was some value in the wood that was there. Other suggestions were that maybe they thought, well, if we take these out, the barn will get to a point where it can't be saved, and therefore we'll have no land to develop. That's what people think. You can think what you want. But I want to say one point. This is something we should insist on this being investigated, because no matter why this was done, it's a crime to destroy city property or any property for that matter, and to put people in danger. You know, by taking out structural elements, somebody could be hurt in that building.
Who's controlling it?
Well, the city office, the sheriff's office was controlling it, and I think they may still, it's still off limits. And so it's still,
Parks and Rec.
I don't think the Parks and Rec, they may do some work there, but I don't know. I think it's still the sheriff's. Yes.
Yes, does anybody have contact with the newspaper, try to get some stories out, get a lot more publicity that way?
Oh, yes, that's another thing. I've been trying to, wherever I could go, and especially back when they were having those forums, I would run into people from the newspaper. I would, just talk with them to get familiar with them, and I think that's helped. It has helped at least at one time to get that letter in the editorial on the newspaper editorial page, which was about the forum that was coming up, and so that's a good thing. If you have contacts, anybody have contacts with the Daily Press.
Yeah, if people want to just shoot an email to Dave Rett, he's the one who reported about the structural reports supports of that barn being seriously removed, at the end of an article about something else. He did put that in the paper. Just shoot him an email and say you're concerned about, who removed the support. You're also concerned about the property in general, whatever you want to say to him, because I think he's the one who is, could possibly be our investigative reporter on this. Enough of us shoot him an email, and his emails are, they, at the end of all of his articles, he's got, contact me, Dave Ress at Daily Press. It's Dave Ress, D-A-V-E-R-E-S-S. And his email is in the Daily Press at the end of all his articles. And if he realizes that we're all concerned, he might give us more publicity.
Teresa Cliff is another one, an odd email who writes such subjects.
She was pulled off the
He
Riverview.
was pulled off.
Separated why. It is now a new name, so I was informed. She's on transportation.
So, it shows some more of the damage. Okay.
And I know Teresa was on the trail for the family.
Okay, the city manager brought this up at the meeting last week, and he said, well, I wasn't going to go ahead and demolish the building on my own, so I wanted to bring it to the city council. And they did it at the work session. And unfortunately, at the work session, most people can't go 3 o'clock in the afternoon or whatever it is, and it's not even televised. So he put forth a strong case that it would take over $300,000 to stabilize it, and there wasn't any use for the building anyway. They demolished it for $70,000. And there were 4 council people that were agreeable to demolishing it. They didn't vote on it. They can't vote during a work session, but I think he just asked the question just to, so later he he would ask, you know, and it's something, in a way to back it up, that wasn't his decision. So I don't know what the schedule is now as far as demolishing it, but if we're gonna stop it, we need to do it right away.
Would be recognized as receiving an answer.
When
I say the reason it wasn't recognized or not started registered because the city had an answer for it.
Yeah,
Property.
yeah.
So they would have to do, most cities will do that. I mean, if there's
Right.
something valuable, they can do that.
That's another thing.
It
He
doesn't
said,
take it from demolition, but it does.
Okay.
It's harder.
he said it's not on the National Register of Historic Places, but it could be possibly because, but the only reason it's not, nobody has ever requested that it be. Yeah, so, all right. They also talked about the archaeology. Let's get to the next one. Pointing out the red is the barn. The blue is a gym that's on the city farm property. Next one. Okay. Outlined in green are the areas that they say are significant for study, archaeologically. And they base this on what was done a number of years ago and what they found then. So that's what they told us.
In other words, the site of 1680 war camp, right?
Well, basically that's what they're talking about, I think. But after all, there were Indians, you know, Native Americans that were there before in Spanish, and I think Jan would like to talk about some of that. All right. Editorial, this is the two sides of Daily Press. Back in the 80s, this is around the end of the 80s, they would say, good place for a park, and they were gung-ho for having this in the park, okay? Next. Well, this is something a little different here. 2007, and back then I was really working on Fort Monroe. But they were saying, well, James City County is saving this land by the river. It's that land that was part of the celebration of the, Discovery Park. So it was saved and being developed. And over in Smithville, there was some other land, in Isle of Rice County. And so it was saying how good they were saving this land now before the areas around it became so developed that no way they could afford to have parks there. Okay. But the only time to preserve those open space and water access to future generations is now. And that's very true. Those other places, they actually had to spend millions of dollars to save those lands. We have a piece of land we already own. The city already owns it. They don't have to pay anything for it. What do you get in return for your tax? That means a motion. Think about generations from now. Now, we know Newport News as it is now. Some of us have been there long enough to know what it was like 50 years ago. Think about what it may be 50 years from now. If we don't save more of this land that we have, what is it going to be like? It'll be like some cities, and I don't want to go name cities right now, but there are some cities where it's so undeveloped, people hardly know what a tree, or a free-growing tree, not one that's cut out because of power lines, but free-growing trees and open fields alike. They're so hemmed in by development. Keep going. Again, resources, this is in the brochure. T-shirts, we're not selling right now, but if anybody would like it, you can ask me about it. Keep going. Keep going. Hurry with it. This is go back one. This is an aerial view in 2010 of the city farm.
Where's the gym on that?
It's about what? Gym or gymnastics center?
Gymnastics center.
It would be this is the parking lot for the gymnastics center. So it would be up here. Off the train. The barn is up here, that's the barn. This, I believe is what they call the gym, for the fish farm. So, but as you can see, go to the next one. All that area basically is covered with development. Because at that time never went through. So and I got more detail about how many, they really went into detail about this. Okay. Daily press photos. Now I don't have a helicopter, so I did use these photos to give you more of a sense of what it looks like from the air. And that's Deep Creek in the front and James River up to the left. Okay. Deep Creek again. Of course, you can see how developed it is all around there. And so that is the last place in the city that we could have a waterfront crossing. If we don't save it, then we have lost it. Okay. Now, were there any more questions? I think Jen wanted to say something. If you could say something briefly about the history.
Jen, come on, take them up.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me. And please remember, some of you may not be able to do as much as others, but every little bit will help us. And keep in touch, go online, email us, let us know what you think about it and what should be done. We need suggestions to write out and reach more people. Thank you.
I have been researching the history of what became Warwick County, basically from the mouth of the James River up through Deep Creek Harbor, City Farm, Riverview Farm Park, up to the mouth of the Warwick River. And what I've discovered is that the European colonial American history goes back to 1498. That is 1498. I have summarized the history in a brochure which is being handed out. Basically, that makes this area the base of the historic triangle, because the Spanish started mapping in 1498. And let me quickly hit some of these highlights. In 1526, they mapped. 1670, Captain John Smith mapped it in 1608 with very detailed drawings of the Deep Creek in this area. Then we're going up to the massacre of 1622. 4 of the massacre sites where the colonists were killed are within gunshot of Riverview Farm Park. In the mid-1600s and mid-1700s, you had Dutch and other pirates. We had Bacon's Rebellion, the War of 1812, which I believe is when Yorktown was destroyed. The British ran a terror campaign. You can look all this up on the internet and look at references, and it was a very brutal period. The massacre of 1644, various wars with the Indians, of course, the Revolutionary War, Bacon's Rebellion, Civil War, and later on it became a lumberyard, and then a city farm and a poorhouse. So I encourage you to read this history and look some of this stuff up. A lot of detail in the internet. And this, in my opinion, and it will be yours, I think, after you read through this, is one of the most historic sites in the United States, but especially in Virginia. Now, a lot of this stuff, like the Dutch pirates in the War of 1812, happened all over Hampton Roads. But if you take all of these events in total, then we have a very historic site, a good place to educate our children, especially the barn would make a great Newport News museum, and educational center, and we cannot let 10-story apartments destroy this historic site. Thank you very much.
All right, before we take any other questions or whatever, I wanted to ask about Brenda. Gloria? Well, as last week here, it's pretty bad. So everyone's prayers for Brenda Carter. We hope she makes falls through. She's a wonderful woman. So, are there any more questions for our speaker today? Yes, Jim.
I was really impressed by the gentleman because he never asked for money.
Rare quality.
Really think something like that?
I found you don't get rich by being part of a nonprofit, but you do get a lot out of it. Really, you really do. I can tell all kinds of things that have happened concerning Portland. I have to be there involved for more than 10 years now. And I think a lot will come out of this. If anybody, I'm not going to ask for money, but what I really need is time. I need people to be involved. That's the most important thing. That's what's going to change things. The big guys, they can always come up with the money, but they can't always come up with big crowds of people to do things. So we have to show them that this is our property. This is what we want, and we want to keep it hands off. Thank you.
Like everyone else, I share the concern for the barn and all, but to me, the site of Warwicktown itself is paramount, that which lies under the ground. So is your rationale, if they get a hold of the barn, they're eventually going to get it? If they have to get it piecemeal, they're going to get the whole thing? They being developers.
Well,
What's your rationale,
yeah.
in a nutshell?
My rationale is what they are doing. One reason why they started this archaeological study was to say, this area is not very historical, but we have a little piece over here that we'll consider historical. We'll dedicate that maybe as a park or put it aside, we won't develop it. But we'll take the other 50-some acres and develop it. That's what I think they really want to do.
It'll become a gated community where they could tell you that you're not allowed to park, you're not allowed to drive in there. It could be like Kings Mill,
Yeah.
the access to what you should be able to do. Plus, we would not have the beauty of a historical site. We should develop this towards.
Right. So, like I say, even a small amount of development would change the character of the area. Yes.
Also, you see the wooded area on the right there.
Yes.
That's privately owned, and the owner's been holding that for decades, waiting for the apartments to go up, so that can also be developed, and that would take care of the rest of the Deep Creek Harbor shoreline.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I've heard the name, but I don't recall.
Yeah. So, anybody else with a question or comment? Yes.
Just an observation, it just doesn't seem like it's really the most suitable place for residential development anyway, right next to the water treatment plant.
Right.
There's odors, dust.
Yeah, I would agree
I
that.
think that's another way
Yeah.
to approach it.
Right.
And I was just thinking of another reason. Now, it's so expensive to get anything insured in water, like whatever they have with the federal government flood program, that may be another reason that to put expensive houses and things there. It might be something that developers would even shy away from it. And that would be, I think now, with more intense storms,
Well,
that may be another argument.
I'm not so sure about it. Some down by the marina that may be true, but I think Solon Lane is pretty high up, so it would not be affected like that. But I think the best argument that we have is that we have limited access to the water, and we need to keep this for public access for everybody, not develop it for the benefit of a handful of people. And so we need to go down to City Hall and tell them, it's time to confirm the fact that this is parkland and should be parkland forever. Yes.
To make this the main business of the marina, I don't think you covered that.
Oh, okay, as far as the marina, what we would like to see there would be, like I say, it'd be a working marina for the water, for services in that context, not make it a fancy marina.